Hi everybody, today we are going to start standard form. It's the last form of linear equations that we're going to go over, and this is the last video for the unit. But let's go ahead and get started. So standard form is just ax plus by equals c. But here's the thing about standard form is that a, b, and c, they have to be integers, okay? And a, b, and c actually don't represent anything like the other forms. A, B, or C is not slope, it's not a point, it's not a y-intercept at all, so they're just numbers. So standard form does have a purpose. It's really easy to find x and y-intercepts, as you saw from the last exit ticket we did, but you just have to be careful because it's not as easy as the other ones with like clues and how to be able to graph it and stuff. So let's go ahead and try some. So actually with standard form there's other rules as well. So there's 4 rules total. So 1, there can't be any fractions. So a, b, and c, which are your numbers, they can't be fractions. Okay, and I'll show you how to deal with it. If they do become fractions, we can undo that. Okay. Second one is we cannot have, like, a can't be 0. So there can't be a 0 in the front. Okay, and a always has to be in the front. The third one is that a can't be negative, so the front term cannot be negative, and you can't, and that x term needs to be in the front. All right, so we just have to manipulate it a little bit to change any negatives in front to be positives. And the last thing is that there's no common factors between all 3, meaning a, b, and c. So for example, like if a was 3 and b was 6 and c was 9, all 3 of them have a common factor of 3. They can all be divided by 3. So we'd have to simplify that by dividing everything by 3 and putting it in the simplest form. Okay? So let's go ahead and try a few. So here's an example. We had to change this into standard form. Okay? This form they gave us was a point slope form. And actually when we go from point slope form to standard form, we have to make a pit stop in slope intercept form. So we're going to change the point slope form to slope intercept, and then go from slope intercept to standard. Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and distribute this 2, so we get y minus 3 equals 2x minus 1/2, because 2 times 1/4 is 1/2. Now we're going to go ahead and add 3 to both sides, so we end up getting y equals 2x plus 5/2, or 2.5. So now we have slope intercept form. Now we can change that into standard form by subtracting 2x from both sides. So we have 2x plus y equals 5/2. Now, this form, it's not in standard form because it violates a couple of our rules. First one is that there's a negative up front. Okay? The second one is that we have a fraction for c. Alright? So we got to undo those. And the way we undo that, well, to get rid of a negative, we just have to multiply it by -1. So we go ahead and multiply both sides of the equation, like every single term of this equation, by -1. So this negative 2x becomes a positive, this positive 1y becomes a -1, and this 5/2 becomes a -5/2. Okay? We still have the issue of the fraction though. So to undo a fraction, we just need to multiply it by its denominator and it will become like an integer. So we are going to multiply this side by 2 to make it into -5. But if we multiply this side by 2, we have to multiply this side by 2 as well. So 2x gets multiplied by 2, -1y gets multiplied by 2, and -5/2 gets multiplied by 2, giving us 4x minus 2y equals -5. That's in standard form because it follows all of our rules. Okay? Now you might be able to notice, well, can't I just multiply the whole thing by -2 and that takes care of everything? Yeah, you can. So if you want to do it in one big step, you are more than welcome to just multiply by -2, which is what these 2 things that we multiplied by combined, like they make -2. Okay? And it would give you the same answer. But if you want to do it step by step and rule by rule, that's totally fine too. Okay? Now you're going to try this one on your own. Luckily this one's already in slope intercept form, so you don't have to do as many steps, but you still need to put it in standard form following those 4 rules. Okay? So go ahead and try this one on your own. When you come back, I'll have the answer for you. Okay, so you did this. You needed to make sure you got rid of the negative out front of the x and the fraction. Okay, so you should have gotten 2x minus 3y equals 12. All right, and that would be your final answer. Okay? If you have any questions, please make sure you star them and we can go over them in class. All right, here's another example. Change it to slope-intercept form. So they gave us standard, and we need to put it in slope-intercept form. So this is easy because we just need to put it in y equals mx plus b. So we're going to go ahead and subtract x from both sides, giving us negative 2y equals negative x plus 5. Then we're going to divide everything by negative 2. That gives us y equals 1/2 x minus 5 halves. Okay? Now the try on your own is a little bit more tricky because I want you to try the challenging stuff too. You have to change standard form into point slope form. Okay? Now remember, when I said we went from point slope to standard, you had to do a pit stop in slope intercept. Same thing here. Change this to slope intercept form first, then use that to generate a point, and then put it in point slope form. Okay? Now, when I show you the answer, your answer is probably going to be different depending on what point you use. Okay? So if you want to try generating your own point, you're more than welcome to. I'll tell you the x that I used was 2 once I got it in slope intercept form, and then you should be able to get the same answer as me. But if you want to try something else, you're totally fine. Okay? So when you come back, I'll have my answer and my point that I used so you can see what happened. Alright? Good luck! Okay, so like I said, it's going to depend on your point for your answer. So my point that I used was 2, 2. So my point slope form would be y minus 2 equals negative 1/2 times x minus 5. Okay? And if you use a different point and you're not sure, plug your point into my equation. It should come out even. Like, it should come out equal then. And you know that your point's right. Okay? Alright. So, let's go on to the next one. Finding x and y intercepts. So again, this is what we did in our exit ticket, so this should go really fast. So the x-intercept, remember, is x comma 0, and the y-intercept is 0 comma y. So if we have standard form, we can find the x and y-intercept by plugging in the 0 for the coordinate that we don't actually need. So for x-intercept, we need the x-coordinate. We know what 0 is the y-intercept, or the y-coordinate. So we plug in 0 for y. Ends up being 3x equals 12. Solve for x by dividing by 3. X equals 4, so my x-intercept is 4 comma 0. The y-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for the x and solve for the y. So that becomes negative 4y equals 12. Divide by negative 4. Y equals negative 3, so my y-intercept is 0, negative 3. Easy peasy. Okay? So, there's a shortcut that I'd like to show you about finding slope, the x-intercept and the y-intercept, just from the general form of standard form. So I want to show you this. So here we have the standard form, ax plus by equals c, and yes, the c, b, and a all have to be capitalized for standard form. So we're going to go ahead and solve for y. Just literal equation, solve for y. So first thing we need to do is subtract ax from both sides. We end up getting by equals negative ax plus c. We divide everything by b, so y ends up equaling negative a over b. Oh, I forgot the x there. There should be an x there. Negative a over b x plus c over b. So that means negative a over b would actually give us our slope, and c over b would give us our y. 1 second. Sorry, I had someone knocking at the door. So, okay. So, yeah, let's go on to the next slide then. Let me also make it bigger for you. So, slope, we can actually calculate slope if we do negative a over b. So we take the negative whatever a is and divide it by b. That'll give us our slope. The y-intercept we can get from doing c over b. So whatever c is divided by the b. And the x-intercept we actually get from doing c over a. So this is a shortcut way where if you memorize this, you can use this. My only concern is that it is very similar to each other, and you really have to have it memorized very, very well in order not to get it mixed up. So just be careful with it, alright? So let's go ahead and do this last one. It's the try on your own. Is this the last one? Yeah. Try on your own. So you're going to graph this, alright? 4x minus 2y equals 8. there's multiple ways you could do this. You could find the x and y intercept, like I just showed you, and do it that way. You could put it in slope-intercept form first and graph it that way. It's up to you. So go ahead and try this one on your own. When I come back, I'll show you the line, okay? Or when you come back, rather, because you're the one pushing pause or play. Okay, so go ahead. I'll see you when I get back, or when you get back. Okay, so you should have a line on your graph. So this one actually comes out, so you have a y-intercept of -4 and an x-intercept of -2. So when you graph it, that's what it looks like. -2. Wait, that's not what it looks like, is it? I think I made a mistake here. Oh well. If you get something different, make sure you bring it up in class. I did this on purpose. Chimichanga, guys. Chimichanga. That's an inside joke. So I think I did do something wrong. See if you can spot the mistake. Okay? Yeah, I did something wrong. So spot the mistake and let me know what it is in class, okay? Alright. I will see you next class. Remember, you have a quiz on parent function, on, what else on? Slope-intercept form and point-slope form. Okay? So I will see you next class. Be ready for that. Make sure you study. And yeah, have a good day. And now I get to see you pause the video. Okay. Bye, guys.